Hello and welcome to Dodo's Networking Labs. Today is CCNA 200-301, Day 11. We're going to be covering WLAN components, AP, and wireless LAN controller management. Let's get into it. So, in this video today, we will be covering these objectives. 2.7. Describe physical infrastructure, connections of WLAN components, AP, WLC, access and trunk ports, and LAG. And then we're also going to be covering 2.8 exam objective, which is describe AP and WLC management access connections like Telnet, SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, console, and TACACS plus / radius. So let's begin. So what is an access point? The AP, or access point, is typically connected to a network switch using an Ethernet cable. This port on the switch can be configured as either an access port or a trunk port. Access port. So if the AP is only serving a single VLAN, an access port is sufficient. It belongs to a specific VLAN and does not tag frames. A trunk port, so is if the AP needs to handle multiple VLANs. An example would be to separate different SSIDs into different VLANs. The switch port should be configured as a trunk port, capable of carrying traffic for multiple VLANs. Wireless LAN controller. The wireless LAN controller, or WLC, is also connected to a network switch, typically through Ethernet connections. These ports are often configured as trunk ports because the WLC needs to manage multiple VLANs for different SSIDs. Link aggregation group, or LAG, is for redundancy and increased throughput. Multiple physical connections between the WLC and the switch can be combined into an LAG, or link aggregation group, which is treated as a single logical link. This configuration enhances reliability and bandwidth. Switch ports and access/trunk ports. Access ports. These ports connect to devices that belong to a single VLAN. They are untagged and are used when connecting to end devices like PCs or APs that do not need VLAN tagging. Trunk ports are the ports that can carry multiple VLANs. They tag Ethernet frames with VLAN identifiers, allowing multiple VLANs to traverse the same physical connection. Trunk ports are used between switches and routers, and between switches and devices like WLCs that manage multiple VLANs. An access point, what would be its use cases in this sense, is Telnet/SSH. Used for remote command line access, SSH is preferred due to its encryption, while Telnet is unencrypted and less secure. HTTP/HTTPS, web-based management interfaces accessible through a browser. HTTPS is preferred due to its encryption. And console is physical access through a console cable, usually RJ45 to serial, for direct command line access. This is often used for initial setup and troubleshooting. So this slide basically covers like how you could set up and like configure and access your access point, or TACACS plus radius. An authentication protocol is used for controlling access to the AP's management interface. These provide centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting services. We will cover what TACACS and radius servers are in a future episode. WLC. So how would you configure your WLC? You can do it through Telnet, where it's used for remote command line access to the WLC. SSH is preferred for security reasons because it's far more secure compared to Telnet, which sends things with no encryption over the internet. HTTP/HTTPS is, you could do that, and it's the web-based management interface for configuring and monitoring the WLC. HTTPS is preferred for secure communication. Console is also another way, where physical access through a console cable for direct command line access. This is typically used for initial configuration or troubleshooting. And then again, TACACS and radius, which is used for authenticating users who access the WLC management interface. These protocols ensure that only authorized personnel can manage the WLC, providing an additional layer of security. Key points for this and what your takeaway should be is access point to switch is connection via access or trunk ports, depending on VLAN requirements. WLC to switch is typically using trunk ports and may utilize link aggregation for redundancy and increased throughput. And then management access, whereas APs and WLCs can be managed via Telnet, SSH, HTTP, HTTPS, console connections, and authenticated via TACACS or radius for secure access control. So, let's do practice questions. Which type of switch port should an access point be connected to if it needs to handle multiple VLANs? A, an access port, B, a trunk port, C, a mirrored port, or D, a management port? The answer is B, trunk port. Alright, practice question 2. Which management access method is preferred for secure remote command line access to a wireless LAN controller? Telnet, HTTP, SSH, or FTP? Remember, remote. The answer is C, SSH, which is a secure remote command line access. Practice question 3. What is the purpose of using TACACS or radius for managing access points and wireless LAN controllers? The answer is B, to authenticate and authorize users who manage a device. Thanks for watching. This was Dodo's Networking Labs. If you like this channel and like what I'm posting, please like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching, and see you soon. Goodbye.